What's up? It's time to rank every main victim in Saw 2, where Jigsaw concocts an even more elaborate scheme to test the fabric of human nature, making use of kidnapping, threats, murder, and clever wordplay as he forces people to showcase their skills and become the ultimate survivor. We start the film with a bright idea, as police informant Michael Marks finds himself suddenly waking up in a Jigsaw trap before Billy pops in and insults him like a priest during an exorcism.
I call you unworthy of the body you possess.
Having broken the ice, Jigsaw tells Michael that he must retrieve a key behind his eye or the device around his head will kill him. With only 60 seconds to complete the task, Michael shows some urgency and quickly grabs the nearby scalpel, but despite drawing it close to his face, he can't muster the self-preservation or resolve to actually remove his eye, leading to him failing and lying dead on the floor. I can't even call that bad resolve. Most other people aren't doing it either. Sometime later, we see Detective Eric Matthews bail out his thieving son Daniel, who fails to show appreciation for his father's help and instead displays some sassiness.
Why are you such a cop 24/7?
Hey, it's called being a father.
Trust me, you're better at being a cop.
Deciding to outdo his son's negativity, Eric yells at Daniel to go back to his mother.
Well then go!
The next day, Eric tries to call Daniel, but doesn't get an answer after being an asshole, so he reveals his interdimensional traveling ability as he walks from his house directly to Michael's crime scene. You only get one of those. Hope he doesn't need it later. As Eric looks at Michael's body, he sees a jigsaw piece and then a message on the ceiling calling him out. Despite not wanting to investigate any further, his ex-partner and ex-partner, Detective Carey, implores him to do so, forcing Eric to reveal his observation and memory as he remembers a key detail from Michael's crime scene that allows him to figure out Jigsaw's location. Tap did it better. Infiltrating the building, a SWAT team begins walking up a staircase, only for a gate to close and trap them inside. Billy then approaches on his tricycle, and as one of the officers prepares to shoot, he triggers a trap that breaks his legs like Karate Kid's topping planks. The remaining officers then run into the building as well, but luckily avoid any additional traps before finally coming face to face with the Jigsaw killer himself.
Technically speaking, he's not really a murderer.
Man, shut up! Thinking they've completed their mission, they attempt to bring in Jigsaw, but he instead initiates a new objective: explore the next room. After reluctantly accepting, Eric uncovers a set of monitors with a timer alongside them, revealing some more observation as he somehow spots his son on this grainy-ass tinted footage. Now angry, Eric confronts Jigsaw, who tells him that Daniel has been placed somewhere with a poisonous gas that will kill him in 2 hours, making sure to also tell us his favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
There will be blood.
Nice. Meanwhile, Daniel finds himself trapped in some nasty-ass tetanus-infected house with a group of strangers who also have no idea what's going on, but the one named Xavier takes an early lead by showing some proactiveness when he harshly tells the others to take action instead of complaining.
Stop bitching about it and let's do something.
Suddenly though, Amanda wakes up and starts acting like a parent looking for their kid's vape, desperately searching the room until she finds a tape player, which tells them that they can leave in 3 hours, but a poisonous gas will kill them in only 2, unless they take one of several antidotes that have been hidden throughout the house. Jonas though shows some perceptiveness by questioning how Amanda knew where to find the tape, but Amanda's lucky ass doesn't have to answer when Xavier changes the subject, unfortunately lowering his performance by trying to use a key to open the door that's trapping them inside despite a note and Amanda explicitly telling him not to.
Who gives a shit about the note, alright?
Ooh. Well, at least Xavier was being proactive. After the door kills one of them, Jonas continues raising his performance with some information gathering, resuming his interrogation of Amanda, who tells everyone that they are in a game from Jigsaw, allowing Addison to explain even further.
He's a serial killer.
You're damn right.
No, he's not! He's testing us. He wants us to survive.
Hey, shut up! Damn! The only reason she would be trying to endorse him is if she's in on... Wait a minute. Displaying some determination, Jonas once again asks Amanda how she knows so much, so she finally tells him that she's played before. This is not a game.
Ain't no fucking game!
Exactly what I'm saying. Suddenly, the door creaks open, and Xavier shows some caution by carefully opening it further, but then ignores Jonas as he advises everyone to work together, revealing Xavier's poor cooperation that will only worsen as time wears on. Further demonstrating the divide between the two, Xavier tries to open the door with the key from earlier, while Jonas shows some more caution by telling him not to, only for the key to do nothing except frustrate Xavier, who throws it onto the ground, allowing Jonas to pick it back up. Xavier, though, won't be denied, so he begins destroying the door with a baseball bat, but fails to break through the metal wall behind it. Taking another opportunity to improve his ranking, Jonas reveals some observational skill as well, spotting a prison tattoo on Xavier's arm. Enhancing it with some deduction, he realizes that Xavier, Addison, and himself have each been to prison, applying the words from the tape that told him that they all have something in common. Before he can continue with his theory though, Laura discovers a hidden area, and when the group explores it, they find another tape, this time for Abby. Unfortunately for Abby though, the tape snitches and reveals that he helped kidnap the other victims, with Laura showcasing some notable memory in Abby's observation when she remembers that Abby drugged her before she came here. Vindictively, Xavier grabs a knife and threatens Abby, who simply shows his poor self-preservation and intentionally pushes the knife against his skin. Abby then crawls into the nearby furnace to retrieve a pair of antidotes, but shows poor caution and deduction by treating something so clearly a trap like a damn playpen, allowing it to close while he pulls on one of the syringes. I bet you Jonas would have analyzed the trap before putting his whole body into a literal furnace. With the door locked, the fire turns on, so Abby begins screaming for help, and as Xavier, Jonas, and Daniel proactively try to break the furnace, Laura shows poor composure and just screams in the corner. When the others finally break through, Abby pops out but only halfway and then dies, with Xavier just complaining that he didn't bring out the antidotes. What a great teammate. Meanwhile, Jigsaw tells Eric that if he talks with him for a couple of hours, he'll find his son in a safe and secure state. Mustering up the smallest bit of patience he has, Eric listens to Jigsaw's profound philosophical proclamations.
My name's John.
But Eric decides to call Jigsaw out on his bullshit philosophy.
I've never murdered anyone in my life. The decisions are up to them.
Yeah, well, putting a gun to someone's head and forcing them to pull the trigger is still a murder.
Knowing he just got cooked, Jigsaw changes the subject and starts philosophizing about life and death, explaining how driving off a cliff and pulling a metal shaft from his gut created his new ideology, as if that's even comparable to cutting out your own eye or sawing off your own foot. Recognizing his BS, Eric angrily walks away. Back at the house, Laura starts feeling the effects of the gas, but Daniel displays some compassion and helps her wake back up. He then reveals some information gathering by asking Amanda how she beat her game and if they can repeat her success. Since she doesn't offer much useful information though, the group just explores another room, with Xavier now coughing into his hands. You should use your elbow. Despite Amanda again telling him not to, Xavier shows his stubbornness and tries to open another closed door as if he forgot about the guy who just got shot. When Xavier finally manages to get inside, he luckily doesn't die, but instead encounters a hole full of needles and a tape just for him. The player then tells him that he must dive into the pit of needles to retrieve a key to unlock the door to get an antidote for the poison. Xavier though displays putrid selflessness and strong ruthlessness as he throws Amanda into the pit before yelling at her to move faster. Empathetically, but also hypocritically, Daniel begs the others to help her while not helping her himself, nor finding a safer way of searching through the needles than her bare hands. Since nobody helps her, Amanda just starts aggressively throwing the needles and eventually finds the key, but when Xavier tries to unlock the door, he fumbles the key and the door locks before he can open it. Showcasing horrid accountability, he blames Amanda for the door closing and then further devolves his cooperation as he separates from the others. Back at the building, Jigsaw continues to frustrate Eric.
Shut the fuck up!
Okay. Jigsaw then tells Eric that all the people in the house with Daniel were arrested by Eric, convicted using evidence that he planted. At the house, Xavier begins moving back up the scale as he shows some observational skills, spotting a number on the back of the dead man's neck in the original room. When Jonas comes in vomiting strawberry sauce though, Xavier displays horrific communication and simply orders him to turn around while holding a knife, so Jonas justifiably starts fighting him, managing to easily win until the gas drops into the ground and allows Xavier to cheat by killing Jonas with a spiked bat. Damn. Let's talk about Jonas. While he may seem like just another ex-convict, he actually displays far greater versatility than any of his peers, managing to demonstrate strong observation, deduction, cooperation, composure, perceptiveness, and even melee. His observation and deduction, especially when paired with his notable information gathering, allowed him to advance in the game.
Ain't no fucking game!
And would likely prove useful in pretty much any other subgenre, especially mystery horror. His cooperation and sociability kept the group together for a while despite their conflicting temperaments. His strong composure kept him calm even after seeing a man get killed, while the others started screaming, and his melee enabled him to nearly defeat a man nobody else wanted to challenge, with him only losing due to the external factor of a poisonous nerve gas. Though, he probably shouldn't have turned his back on such a sadistic person. All in all, Jonas somehow managed to showcase a wide array of positive traits, while having comparatively little screen time, making him one of the most efficient high-performing characters I've covered so far, and leaving the fierce felon with fruit-flavored fluids in S tier. Unaware of Xavier's actions, the other victims continue moving through the house, and Laura demonstrates some more observation as she spots a uniquely broken photo on the wall, and when Addison investigates it, she realizes that Daniel's father is Detective Matthews and stops trusting him, deciding to separate from him and the others. Having fulfilled her task, Laura starts convulsing and dies, leaving the crying convict with crippling composure in situ. After finding the number on the back of Jonas's head, Xavier starts searching for everyone else, and as he approaches Daniel, Eric's patience reaches its end and he starts interrogating Jigsaw like Batman. Now with a gun in his mouth, Jigsaw finally offers to take Eric to the house, but only if he goes alone, so Eric takes Jigsaw down the elevator and into the car, not recognizing the likely trap from the man who does nothing but play mind games. He could at least take a tracker or something. Meanwhile, Addison finds another trap, but when she tries to grab the antidote, her hand gets stuck, so she shows terrible foresight and sticks her other hand inside, only for it to get stuck too. Now crying for help, Xavier comes in, but simply displays his selfishness as he just looks at the number on her neck and then leaves her to die, sending the panicky prostitute with pitiful plans to C-tier. Still searching for the remaining numbers, Xavier heads back to the original room, only for Daniel and Amanda to block him from getting inside. Realizing they have nowhere to go, Xavier just keeps trying to push through, but Amanda finds a trap door on the floor, and when Daniel remembers the key that Jonas picked up earlier, he finds it in his clothes, allowing them to open the trap door and escape the room. Unfortunately though, Xavier continues following them as they run through some underground sewage system, eventually stumbling upon the bathroom from the first film. Soon after, Xavier reaches the bathroom as well, but finds Daniel dead. He then asks for the numbers on their necks, but Amanda tells him that she won't tell him his own numbers, so Xavier faces the consequences of his awful teamwork, but also displays some impressive resolve as well as ridiculous cutting ability when he expertly slices off the back of his neck like a piece of turkey. That's insane. When he moves closer to get their numbers though, Daniel reveals his ruthlessness with a sneak attack that kills Xavier. Now that's how you play dead, Adam. Let's talk about Xavier. As a selfish person, Xavier doesn't bring much to the team, instead focusing all of his effort into making sure he survives, regardless of how much that affects others. Fortunately for him though, selfishness can get you far in Survivor scale, and alongside his top tier ruthlessness, Xavier's self-preservation reaches a level that few others can claim. His resolve also stands out, allowing him to cut off the back of his own neck, taking advantage of his obscene dexterity to do so with extreme precision. He displays some other mental attributes as well, spotting small details that would have led to a survival if not for Daniel's heroics. Sadly for Xavier, however, selfishness isn't everything, and his poor communication also led to his demise, making it even less likely that he'd find an antidote. So, while Xavier demonstrated many impressive attributes, he also displayed some negative ones that drop him back down, allowing him to do well in more solitary films, but likely much worse in situations with larger groups, leaving the violent victimizer vanquished like a villain in A tier. Having finally arrived at the house, Eric begins searching for Daniel, but when he makes his way down the trap door and into the nasty ass bathroom, he simply finds a body in the bathtub, and as he reaches for it, it injects him with a sedative and he falls unconscious. Back at the building, Detective Carey continues watching the camera feed as the other officers make their way through the house the monitors at the building have been linked to. However, they don't find anyone else there, just another set of monitors, and when they pause the footage, the monitors back at the building pause as well, revealing that what they've been watching this whole time has already happened. The timer then finally reaches 0, which activates a safe that opens and reveals Daniel alive and well. Guess he was in a safe place. After regaining consciousness, Eric finds himself chained up, and a tape player that reveals Amanda's lame ass has been Jigsaw's apprentice this entire time, helping the game unfold as it should. She then walks in and closes the door. Damn. He could really use that interdimensional traveling ability right now. Time to rank. First off, we have Daniel. Though he didn't have the strongest performance in the film, he certainly exceeded the expectations of most teenagers. Largely keeping to himself at first, he eventually displays some notable sociability, becoming allies with the other victims, a trait that would likely help him in similar group situations like The Mist or a variety of zombie movies. His composure enabled him to think quickly under pressure and find the key to the trap door, raising his score in urgent situations. Perhaps most critically though, he demonstrated strong ruthlessness when he killed Xavier to protect himself and Amanda, revealing a willingness to kill others in dire circumstances. And I gotta say, imagine if Daniel had died there. That would have messed up Jigsaw's whole plan. they really risked that. Overall, Daniel's performance may become underrated as time goes on, but he's still illustrated enough to place him much higher than I initially thought, leaving the killer kid with a clueless caretaker in B tier. Finally, we have Eric Matthews, the detective who only managed to detect something that Jigsaw wanted him to find. Though he initially had an impressive observational moment, he didn't follow it up with much else, instead falling victim to Jigsaw's concoctions and collapsing under the weight of his own emotions. His poor composure led him to overlook Jigsaw's words and the advice of those around him, particularly Detective Carey, who warned Eric about Jigsaw's trickery. He also failed to recognize the obvious trap Jigsaw led him into or warn the other officers about his location. Like, he could have done so many things. With all that said, Detective Matthews may not have had the same challenges as the other victims, but he still managed to have a pretty bad performance, leaving the corrupt cop with a killer kid in C tier. But that's it. The average ranking for this cast was B tier. Pretty good collection of characters, with the ultimate survivor going to Jonas for demonstrating basically every positive trait, and the first kill going to Addison, who, despite having a better performance than Detective Matthews in this film, doesn't really have anything positive to offer. Though Eric's positive traits didn't have much use here, I think they would in other situations. At least more than Addison. Thanks for watching.